Look, man, I know this Ole Miss fan base. I've been to an Ole Miss football game. That ain't gonna fly by. The difference with Michigan now from 2 or 3 years ago is I now have confidence in Michigan because I know what to expect. So yesterday, we talked about the Ohio State and USC and what was going on at those two schools. If you haven't seen that video and you're a fan of those two teams, or hey, maybe you just want to watch some college football content, feel free to check it out. In today's video though, I think we're going to keep this series going. Let me know if y'all like this. We're going to talk about Michigan and Ole Miss. Michigan. One of the more interesting teams, at least in my humble opinion. I can't wait to talk about this Michigan team and to get into this video because it's one of my favorite teams to keep up with. I've got a lot to say about good old Michigan, and real briefly, before I forget, I want to give a major shout out to the Michigan fan base. Of course, like any college football team out here, they got a passionate fan base, but what I admire, what I respect the most about this Michigan fan base is how much they love their football. They love their football up north, and as a person who also loves this game, there's that mutual respect. I enjoy seeing a fan base that is highly invested into a team just like I am with mine. So I did want to give some recognition there. However, on the flip side, the other team we're going to talk about in today's video is Ole Miss. What is going on at these two schools? Well, we're going to get to the bottom of that in tonight's video. It is relatively simple. These are the only two teams and only two topics we're going to talk about in tonight's video. If you like college football content, consider joining our amazing community. All right, Matt, blah, blah, shut the crap up. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. You know what? Something's on my mind. It's telling me to do this. We're talking about Ole Miss first. I just can't get them off of my mind. The odd thing about Ole Miss, and I got to remind myself this time after time after time, is they don't have the expectations of a Alabama, of an Auburn, of a Tennessee, of a Georgia, of an Ohio State, or a Michigan. I could go on and on. Texas, Oklahoma, you get the point. Ole Miss fans, yeah, they want to win every single game like every fan base out there, but if they only have 8, 9, 10 win seasons, they're cool with it. They don't expect to win SEC championships. They don't expect to compete for national championships. So that is the very weird thing about Ole Miss. Now, they do expect to be a top 25 team, but they don't expect to be a top 5 team. So with that being said, the expectations, yes, they're not too high at all, but they're also not low. You got to do a good job there. But even with last year, right, Ole Miss, weird up and down season, started out really hot, was a top 15 team, was undefeated at one point in time. Then you look up, next thing you know, you finish the season 8-5. Ladies and gentlemen, listen to this, and I kind of forgot it was this bad, but Ole Miss ended the season on a 4-game losing streak and lost 5 out of their last 6. The only game they won was against Texas A&M, and that was 31-28. I think we're all in the same boat here. We can agree. We have many differences, but I don't think we're going to have a difference here. Ole Miss ended the season in terrible fashion. I wanted to share that with y'all so you'll have some context. Also, we know what happened last year, the big controversy with Lane Kiffin. Was he going to go to Auburn? Was he going to leave? Long story short, he winds up staying. And as bad as Ole Miss ended the season in 2022, everyone kind of gave him a pass just because of all the controversies going on with Kiffin and possibly going to Auburn. Well, now, heading into 2023, there's no more excuses. There's no more, okay, is Lane Kiffin going to lead? There's no more, okay, let's give Kiffin the benefit of the doubt. None. It is time to put your money where your mouth is. Win or shut up. Currently, as to where it stands heading into 2023, is Lane Kiffin on the hot seat? No. He's not on the hot seat. No way, not a chance in the world. But here's what I will say. You see Ole Miss go out there next year and lose 5 out of the 6 last games, he might possibly be fired. Look, man, I know this Ole Miss fan base. I've been to an Ole Miss football game. That ain't gonna fly by. You can lose to Alabama. They're not gonna freak out. You can lose to Georgia. They're not gonna get upset. But you got to win the games you're supposed to win. Everything we've said, though, up until this point, that was in the past. We can't change it. We can only change the future. So let's talk about that. Heading forward in 2023 for Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin, how do you fix this? What is the one area of this Ole Miss team that needs the most work done? Defense. Ole Miss's defense was trash last year. Look at all the games they lost. Gave up 45 points. Even A&M gave up 28. Alabama 30. Arkansas 42. Mississippi State 24. That ain't bad. Then Texas Tech 42. Could the offense have played better in those games? Yes, but you're not going to win many games when you're giving up 40. Heading into 2023, the up-and-coming season, defense is the first priority. You got to fix it first. The offense last year, it wasn't the greatest in the world, but it was good enough to get the job done. Speaking of offense, I'll talk about that in just a second with the crazy crazy quarterback battle going on. Recently, over the past couple of days, I spent some time watching some film on Ole Miss's spring game. Y'all know I don't take spring games too serious, but I wanted to see, okay, is Pete Golding going to improve the defense? Because remember, Ole Miss but they got Alabama's defensive coordinator, Pete Golding. Most of y'all know this. I was never high on Pete Golding, and I put more blame on Golding than Bill O'Brien. Because in Alabama, everybody's like, oh, Bill O'Brien's a problem. I was like, no. Y'all are overlooking this. Pete Golding is the reason we lost to Tennessee. He gave up 52. That's a different conversation for a different day. And I've warned Ole Miss fans, hey, have fun with them because you're in for a treat. I know a bunch of y'all didn't watch the spring game, and I don't blame you, but you want to know what the final score was? 53-52. I'm going to be real with all of you. This defense might be worse than last year's defense. That is the bad news. On the flip side of the ball for the offense, I got great news. It's looking as good as ever. You got 3 great quarterbacks battling out, by the way. We'll talk about that in the future. Maybe we talk about that tomorrow. Your offense is going to be fine. We know this, or should know this. It's Lane Kiffin. He's an offensive mastermind, one of the best offensive minds in the game. The offense is going to average 40 points per game. But come on now, do you really want me to sit up here and hype up a Lane Kiffin offense? We know they're going to score points. All in all, to be brutally honest with y'all, in conclusion, I don't see much changing with this Ole Miss football team. I think they're going to be a good team. They're going to show flashes of greatness, but they're also going to lose a game or two they probably shouldn't lose. To me, at least, it doesn't seem like too much is going to change for a Lane Kiffin-led ball club. You got a new defensive coordinator, cool, but the defense still isn't going to be that good. At least they don't appear to look that good heading into the future. Like I said, for the offense, doesn't matter who's running the show, doesn't matter what weapons you have, a Lane Kiffin-led ball club is always going to score points. At this point in time, I just don't see much changing. It just seems like your typical Ole Miss team that's going to go 8-4, 9-3. And that's best case scenario. I wouldn't be shocked if they go 7-5 or maybe at worst 6-6. Normally at this point in time when I'm giving evaluations for teams like USC, Ohio State, Colorado, whoever we've talked about in the past couple months, I'm like, hey, here's my opinion now, but this could change in the next month or two. But for this one, I don't think anything's going to change. I could go on and on about this Ole Miss team. If y'all want to see me talk about the quarterback situation, let me know in the comments. We may do that soon. We got to get a move on to our second team and the team I'm most excited to talk about in tonight's video, and that's Michigan. I've told you guys over and over the past 45 years, who is the most overrated team in the country outside Notre Dame? Michigan. I've said it time after time, but guess what? That changes today. Michigan is no longer an overrated ball team. They're a great football team. I'm calling it how I see it. And I love the way they play the game. Is it boring? Yes. Is it flashy? No. But they get the job done. They do what they need to do and get out of there. I just get nostalgia feeling vibes from watching this Michigan team play because it's run first, then pass. Whereas most teams now, it's pass first, then run. Well, actually, it ain't even pass first, then run. It's pass, and more pass. Michigan is a hard-nosed football team, and that reflects the aura of Jim Harbaugh and what he wants his teams to do. He doesn't want his teams to win ball games. He wants them to dominate ball games. He wants them to dominate the other team and opponent. And man, oh man, there's a lot of satisfying things in this world and life, but I don't know if anything is more satisfying than watching Michigan beat Ohio State in back-to-back seasons when nobody gave Michigan a shot. And y'all may remember, I didn't even pick Michigan to beat Ohio State, but man, that was an awesome game to watch. There's just something soothing about watching Michigan embarrass and prove how soft Ohio State is. They were soft. It is what it is. The bully got bullied. But that's in the past. And although, yeah, you lost to TCU, you should have won the game, but you lost. What's in the future? What does the future hold? Well, currently for Michigan, as to what's going on, that's the million-dollar question because there's not much going on. There's nothing to talk about at the quarterback position. There's no controversy. J.J. McCarthy, he's your guy. Your running back position, you got two of the best running backs in the country. Yes, right, you heard me correctly. Not just the conference, but the country, and Donovan Edwards and Blake Corum. I remember saying this like it was yesterday. When the news came out that Blake Corum wouldn't be able to play against Ohio State, everybody was freaking out, sending it to me on Twitter and Instagram. And what I do, I told you guys, it doesn't matter. Donovan Edwards is just as good. And that's not a knock against Blake Corum. That's more so of me trying to tell you how much I respect and how good I think Donovan Edwards is. And what he did against Ohio State, he proved it. I want to make a long story short here. Michigan's offense, nothing is going to change. Nothing's going to change whatsoever. Run, then you're going to pass. But I think you're going to see a little bit more of J.J. McCarthy this year. A little more passing, and I'm excited for that. I think this kid is extremely talented, and if he gets a little more confident and a little more comfortable, watch out. But, and I have a big but, as good as all that sounds, the one thing I can't get over and wrap my mind around is in the most recent recruiting class, Michigan ranked 17th. If you want to try to sit up here and tell me that's not a big deal, you've lost your mind. Recruiting is everything. Without dudes, you can't win. It is as plain and as simple as that. If you don't have 4 and 5 star recruits, you're not going to beat the Georgias and Alabamas of the world. You may beat the Ohio States of the world, but seriously, you may beat the Ohio States without 4 and 5 star recruits, but you're not going to beat Alabama and Georgia. That just ain't going to happen. I do want to throw this in there because I think it hurt Michigan a ton in the recruiting aspect because many of these recruits didn't even know if Jim Harbaugh was going to stay or leave. Y'all remember that controversy? That happened a while back. But now that Jim Harbaugh's staying, you got your guys coming back, your offense is going to look very similar, your defense, it still should be one of the best, I'm not going to say in the country, but one of the best in the Big Ten. What should we expect out of this Michigan team? I'm going to go on the record to say this. Michigan, they're not underrated. I mean, everybody's got them in the top 6. You can't say they're underrated, and you can't even say they're disrespected. But to a certain extent, I do feel like they're not getting enough recognition. I do feel like they're not getting enough respect. This team, Michigan, by the way, beat Ohio State, one of, if not the most talented teams in the country last year, like a dang drum. It wasn't even close. It was embarrassing. They embarrassed them on their home field. Granted, yeah, you lost a couple of pieces from that team, but I don't think too much is going to change. The difference with Michigan now from 2 or 3 years ago is I now have confidence in Michigan because I know what to expect. I know what I'm getting out of Michigan every single week. I really do. This team is going to do the exact same thing they did last year, and I don't expect to see any changes whatsoever. I never thought these words would come out of my mouth, but it's the cold hard truth. Michigan is legit. I can't wait to see them play this year. I just can't wait for college football. Let me know your thoughts on all this down below. But roll with me.